So firstly, how serious is IP theft for you, and why do you feel so strongly about it?
I think IP theft is a big issue, and I think it's something that kind of become kind of aware of it. You know, about 15 years ago when I was first starting out in my business, I was going along happily designing stuff, winning work, doing work for clients, and then a couple people came along, a couple clients came along, potential clients came along, and turned it on its head by kind of taking or changing the issue around trust. I kind of felt like most people were honest and trusting of us to do the work, but these two people came along and kind of took what we thought our IP, changed it slightly, and got away with it. What I understood was get away with it. So I really, since that day on, I've really made sure that we check contracts thoroughly, that we have a written agreement up front. So I mean, it's really is taking away our living, our business, and so it's very important to me that we don't.
And you get a lot of joy out of the design process and creating something unique for all your clients. And I guess seeing that joy getting eroded away is difficult. You mentioned there were a couple of particular examples that happened. I think it was when you're back in London. Without mentioning names, what was the process that happened there? There was a pitch, was there?
Yeah, quite often there's a pitch. I mean, some people don't agree with pitching. I think that it's up to the individual or the organization, design company, to decide whether they want to take part in the pitch. I think I look at each one on its own merit and decide whether they go forward. On this occasion, it was a great opportunity. It was a new fitness gym that was coming into the market, going to be quite visible. And what I worked on was the pitching against 3 other companies as usual, and came up with a new name, a new identity. And at the time, I was told that they liked what I had done, but they thought it wasn't right for them. And they said they weren't going to use it going forward. And
they asked you to assign
your
intellectual property rights in.
That's right. They said, look, we need you to sign this. This is in terms of process, to sign away your IP, but we have no intention of using it going forward. And I mean, 6 months later, I started seeing it popping around London, and I was phenomenally disappointed with that.
Because what they'd done is they'd taken the 2-word name and just inverted those 2 names.
Yeah, they flipped it. I mean, they took the 2 words. I actually hand drew the font specifically for it, and they flipped it around, and I was told by the lawyer at the time in London that was enough to get around the IP. The frustrating thing was another design company, that next week in the design press, another design company claimed they just won this job, the naming, the identity, and all that.
So that you feel like they took that work from you and claimed it as their own.
Yeah, they did. So, and when confronted, they were just they didn't want to go down that, have a conversation about it.
And did you contact the client to express?
Yeah, absolutely. And I had nothing to stand on because no leg to stand on because of I'd signed it off. So it was really unpleasant. I mean, it just made you feel like getting out of the industry, to be honest, because it may sound like I'm being petty, but so much energy and effort goes into trying to come up with an original idea. When someone takes that from you and doesn't value that input and doesn't value it, or gives someone else the money to execute that idea, that's phenomenally frustrating. I guess the thing is that we're genuine at what we do. We're genuine people that want to help other people. We're not doing it we're not focused on making money and ripping people off. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but we're in it for different reasons to maybe other organizations are doing it. Other people we can be competing with could be ruthless.
So if I was going to suggest a couple of things that designers starting out should bear in mind. I mean, part of it is to stop and reflect on these issues. It's, as you were saying, often hard, busy, other things on your mind, legal things, boring but important, and suggest stopping and reflecting. Particularly thinking about communicating the value of the work to the client, which clears the way for a conversation about what the agreement should say about your intellectual property, the scope of the intended use, and then really to ensure as best you can that the work that you do is unique?
Every time we work on a project, we think we're coming up with a new and original idea. A lot of effort goes into that, a lot of energy, etc. And we also kind of know what's kind of out there. We kind of know in the industry, you know, in a certain industry, we look out for anything that was obviously in terms of creating something that's not so closely fit to something we're recommending, but we can never be sure. I mean, in a way, I suppose we haven't resolved the idea of come up with a solution of how do we do this? How do we, each time we create an identity or create a recommendation to show a client that they want to buy from us, how do we ensure that this is already the due diligence has been done to make sure that what we're recommending is actually not something that already exists that's in breach of conflict with another brand?
If you do need to draw on other people's designs, do your best to ensure that you're taking the ethereal, conceptual nature of someone else's design and turning it into something new.
Well, that's good advice. I think that the most disappointing thing I've ever heard from anyone saying to me, and it happens a lot, is going, there's never an original idea. And I think that's crap. Having said that, some of the ideas that we've come up with have been kind of similar to other ideas by accident. But
yeah, I mean, it's almost a philosophical question.
Something you strive for is originality, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and you take two components, meld them together, that is something new and original. You can have an argument about whether it's not original because it comes from two unoriginal components, but I think you'd very quickly get into something philosophical. And originality, in a sense, is, you know, a little bit like art. It's in the eye of the beholder. If your client thinks this is new and original, let it be new and original.